Hey there, YouTube. My name's Doug of the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel movie podcast, where we talk sequels. We interview folks that worked on that sequel, whether it be an actor, director, producer. Then the next week, we review a movie sequel that they were in. And this video interview is so special to be able to interview an actor. Not only that I loved him in so many things, a few I didn't even know it was him. And that's actor Gregory S. Cummins. Right now, huge fan of him on Bosch as Detective Moore, aka Crate. I was lucky enough to interview his partner on the show, Barrel, Troy Evans. But he was also Luther on Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Mac's dad. He played a really cool role in Batman Returns, Dead End City. It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. But it's not even talking about the roles. I just really like to talk to Greg, the person. Such an amazing dude. We connected. I really hope in the future we can connect again when the whole pandemic's over, because man, he was a great guy, and I'd love to be able to pick his brain more about just everything. You'll hear him for the first time out of all the interviews that I've done break down the audition process and hearing how he becomes a bad guy and how being a bad guy really hurt his personal life in a way. But I'm going to shut up. But before I do that, subscribe. I'll put it like, I don't know, right here. Subscribe to this channel, share it, tell your friends. That's it. I'm going to shut up. And here is actor Gregory S. Cummins. Enjoy.
All the crazy roles.
And one role that you didn't play, which that's what's fun about doing this, is doing the research on people and going back and watching. I watched some cool movies, some that I haven't seen in years that you were in, and some that I've never even heard of. So we'll talk about those.
There are a bunch that you never heard of because it's just I spent a bunch of years doing non-union films, working my way up.
Yeah.
So let me see. I've got a middle. Oh, there it is. There, just raise it a little bit. Get that angle down just a little. Okay, I'll move it here so I can look at you. Look, yeah. Look at all those pictures you got. You got my Always Sunny in Philadelphia picture up. Let me lower this a little. I don't like looking up too much. I don't know if we're live now or not.
No, it's not live. No, I do pre-recorded. This will probably be.
But I don't know if you start. I don't know if you started recording. Oh, you can edit.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit it. Yeah. No, I don't put it out live because,
Yeah, no, I got you. Well, I wasn't sure, and
no, that's a good idea that you mentioned that. I should make sure people do know that. So if they're running a few minutes late, they're not like, hey, what's going on? Or
sometimes when they first get on the phone, you don't know if like I know somebody who does it for the Bosch things. And then she'll start saying, hey, Greg, how you doing? And I'll go, hey, blah, 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 blah. And I'll be talking. And I go, wait, are we recording this? And they go, oh, yeah, we're recording everything. And I go, oh, jeez, and they just put it on without editing it. But my kitty is sleeping in my persimmon box.
Nice.
With 4 persimmons in it. So this is what I look like. After walking, I didn't shower this morning. I walked 11 miles,
nice.
3 hours.
Wow.
Got home. I ran an errand. And then I did like 3 sets of leg lifts and 3 sets of push-ups. And I was just sweating. I grabbed a towel, wiped myself off, threw a shirt on, brushed my hair, didn't even wash my hair. This is as good as it gets. So
I like it.
That you got me, see, I can go through all that and still be this incredibly good looking. It's just, oh, wait, let me look at myself. Oh yeah. I just, even when I play bad guys and I scum myself up, it's just, whenever I get cast, I always get the good looking bad guys. If they want the ugly bad guys, they cast the uglier people, so that's what I like to pretend. That's what I like to say anyway. And it keeps me amused.
That's all that matters. You got to make sure you keep yourself going. And it's so funny that looking at the movies that you're in and the roles that you play, like you mentioned, like playing the good looking bad guy.
I'm teasing. I don't play the good looking bad guy. I actually scum myself out purposely to look really bad. it's a total joke when I say that.
Oh no, but I'm not saying I'm saying you're good looking or not good looking, but in some of those roles, you have like that suave, evil guy that maybe.
Well, and that's why my personal life was crap for about a lot of years, because I'd have this long hair, goatee beard with the points, looking like this white trash redneck Nazi, or I'd play like slick back hair and I'd do an accent, lower my voice, my body movements would change, and I get all these people sending messages or letters, and they go, "Oh, you're so sexy, you're so," and I would get with these women in relationships that I'm the all-American, athlete, straight A student, college. I mean, I'm the all-American kid, and I'd get these women that wanted the bad boy, and because they were bad girls, and not all of them, but some of them, and then and relationships, not all of them quite worked out, because when I was working in the business, because the people that would the nice girl. The girl that I would really want to be with wouldn't want to have anything to do with me looking like that, because I used to get people walking off of elevators when I was working in Arkansas on Stone Cold, and I'd be the field jacket and the long hair and the goatee beard, and two people would look at me and they just like kind of walk off the elevator, and that's what, so I had to look like that for a lot of years, and it really messed up my personal life. I mean, it's no joke. It really did, because every time I'd shave and cut my hair short, I had this baby face, and because I was 6'4", I could never get a running role, like a sidekick role on a series. Nobody wanted to stand next to me. Nobody. I'm 6'4". I'd make them look short, so I wouldn't work for a while, and then I'd go back to the bad guy look, and then I'd start working again a lot, So, it isn't until just recently that I was lucky enough to get on this show, Bosch, and they wanted somebody bigger, and it just worked out great. So I could cut my hair short and shave, and I'm getting older too. So when I had that bad guy look for a lot of years, I hit a point where I was about 55, and all the roles I was reading for were homeless people. And then I went, okay, this isn't working anymore. They're seeing I'm older. They're seeing the lines, and see all these lines. I've earned every one of them, all these crow's feet, all this stuff, so I, it did mess up my personal life a bit. I had people attracted to me that maybe I didn't want to be attracted to me, and the ones that I wanted to be attracted to me weren't attracted to me, because they just see the first off impression would be I don't want to get to know that guy, or the roles that I would play would be kind of psycho or crazy or dangerous, and they'd go, that guy really must have a lot, have that in him. And I don't know if I want to be with somebody like that, because they're not actors. They don't understand that. I'm totally not like that in real life, but we do explore our personalities, and so we can really play any role under the sun and find a way to justify it, but,
so since you brought it up, Greg, what was we'll go back to like early on before you actually started like being in film and TV, but what was
I'm doing this so I can see you better.
Oh, no problem. So what was the role that you were in that somebody said that guy's going to be the bad guy, that got you kind of like stuck? Because it happened with Troy. So when I talked to Troy Evans, they were like cop, and he played a cop a lot. So was there one that you remember?
No, I never got stuck. I stuck myself on purpose.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. What happened was, I started in these non-union films. I did about 5, 6, 7 of them before I became union.
Yeah.
And, I had a lot of training, 6 years in university, a 2-year master's acting program. I was in theater for a lot of years. So, I had, I had some ability, right? And I finally figured out with this general theater picture that I had with this agent, and I wasn't getting sent out for anything. I figured, well, casting directors in theater, a Shakespeare drama and you do a modern comedy, and they two completely different characters, and they know you can play anything, right? But in film and TV, it took me a while to figure out, because they didn't teach me this in school. Well, casting directors in TV and film, 99% of them don't use their imagination. They see what you are, and that's what you are. What you look like, that's what you're going to play, that kind of character. Or if they see you in one character, that's what you're going to be. And what happened is I'm a versatile actor. They never let me play anything close to the leading man in all my training. The dashing leading man, whatever, the gregarious. So I was always playing these character roles, weird roles, accents, whatever, day queens, whatever, just anything that was different, and to expand myself. So when I did the small budget films, I'd audition for the lead good guy. Here's a perfect example. The third one that I did, they, how you go and you audition and they slate and they say, I'm Greg Cummins, was 6'4", whatever, contact information, whatever. Well, there was a script that I read that I got through the drama log, and I sent in two pictures, one for the lead good guy and one for the lead bad guy. And they were me, Gregory Scott Cummins. I went with the full name, but I went and they called me to lead for the leading man. So I got some sun. Let's see, which one did I do first? Oh, I did the bad guy role first. I'm sorry. So I slicked my hair back. I just grew some beard growth. I didn't have the goatee, the beard then. Just grew some beard growth. So I looked like kind of really scummy. One of my early scumball psycho pictures with the eyes popping out, and intense. And I just went in. I talked real low. I just was very low key. I read, I'd look them, I'd do something and they expect me to blow and I wouldn't blow. And then all of a sudden, when they didn't expect me to blow, I'd fucking blow and I'd scare the fucking shit out of them. And they'd all fall out of their chairs. But I changed my voice up, my mannerism changed, and I looked different. So when I play different characters, I do change vocally, I change physically, my movements change, everything changes. Then I got a call to read for the leading man. They didn't know they were calling the same person because they got their slates mixed up. They just had the auditions, but they didn't have people's names. So I came home, got some sun for 2 days, blow dried my hair, and went in and went in and read for the leading man in my normal voice, which is kind of the way I am now, a little tougher, a little more gregarious, cocky, kind of Harrison Ford, Star Wars, nice. Mel Gibson, Lethal Weapon kind of thing. But I look completely different. My voice was different. I got 2 phone calls. I got a phone call said, "You're hired for the lead bad guy." And then they called me again. And then they said, "You're hired. Hi, Greg, you're hired for the lead good guy." And I said, "Guys, you both," there was just a lead good guy and lead bad guy. It was one of those action films with that they sold abroad. And I said, you had somebody else call me earlier that said I got the lead bad guy role. And now somebody else is calling me say I got the lead good guy role. Do you guys know that you called the same person? And they kind of went back to the auditions and they messed the slates up and they went, "Oh my God." And they still looked at him and they said, "No, that couldn't be you. That's not you." And I played 2 completely different characters. I looked different. My voice changed, everything. And so they then realized it was the same. When I told them it was the same person, you actually cast me in both the characters and you guys got it mixed up. And they did get it mixed up. And they said, "Which one do you want?" And because at that time I hadn't done many leading man characters, I said, "I'll take the leading man in this one." And then some of the same people did another film, low budget. I think it was Action Films International. They'd crank out 20 films a year.
Yeah.
That's when I did Dead End City. I played a good guy. But then I did another film called Cartel, or there was another one before that called Deadly Addiction. That was a non-union film. And I played a scum out psycho, kind of, I don't know if you remember the actor who was like Hispanic or Latin or South American, Henry Silva, years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But he played those real, cold bad guy in those old Stallone films in the 80s. And so, I would play a character like that, very low key, not talk a lot, be very cool and tell people to kill everybody. And then when you killed somebody, you always did it in a very cool way. And you just, and then if you did blow, you blew whenever. So what happened is, once I got in the union, I had all this film on myself, all these different good guy and bad guy roles, different looks and accents. And then I played a gay queen in a film. And then I did one on Divorce Court where I played a comedy gay queen. and so, my agent, I finally got an agent, got in the union. And then I'm getting all over here and they're saying, what great this he only plays bad guys. And I go, no, he plays good guys too. Here, let me send you his tape. And then somebody else would call me, well, Greg can't play a bad guy. He's a good guy. He's a nice guy. He's got a sense of humor. He's not and everybody, 40% of the people thought I played strange character roles, quirky character roles. 40% of the people thought I only played nice guys, good guys, leading men. And then 40% of the people, would only know me as bad guys. And even within the same genre, I could be a strong bad guy and really intimidating. and the role would be for somebody maybe who's a weak bad guy, who's like a little, he's not as tough as the head bad guy. And maybe he's a little scared sometimes. And they wouldn't think that I could even change my acting that much to play a role that was, less strong. They'd say to my agent, they say, well, he's too strong. He can play a very dangerous, tough bad guy. He can't play a weak bad guy character like this, or he can't play that, so I realized then that you have to treat casting directors, for any casting directors who aren't like this, I apologize, but this is the way it is. They get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of picture for every category, sometimes thousands. And so I realized then that I had to make a separate picture for every type of character that I could be considered for. And then what I ended up doing is I ended up saying, well, first of all, 9 out of 10 roles that I auditioned for were bad guys. I always got hired. Yeah. But when I read for the leading man roles, I wouldn't get them. As I started moving up in the business, I started at 31, 32, 33. Yeah. I started later because of the sports. So I wasn't 22. So I wasn't getting the leading man roles because I started a little later. Harrison Ford was in his early 20s when he started, and even in his teens, actually. So they wanted the younger guys. So I chose to go with the bad guys. And then after a while, once people got to know me, then I would have my agent send them other tapes. But see, the thing is, if they see you play roles that are completely different, it confuses them and they get nervous about casting you because they think, well, we want somebody exactly like the character. We're not looking for an actor who's versatile. That's the stars. They can do all that. But for casting, guest starring roles or not the non-star roles, they can call their own shots. But we have to fit ourselves into the categories. And so I had to walk in for a lot of roles where I was more low key, I would be nice, but I give a little wink to let them know I wasn't really crazy, but I used to change my demeanor when I'd walk in because I realized they want to see the role walk in the door for the audition. And then the producers will make their decision, but the casting directors have to make the decision to bring you to producers and director. And if they don't feel comfortable because they see a really diverse demo reel with all these different kinds of characters, they get a little nervous. They get a little confused. They don't know what to do with a versatile actor. So I purposely typed myself early on because the first 5 or 6 years, I 7 years, maybe 8 years, I was playing, I played the South American drug lord. I dyed my hair black, and I did I speak Spanish, so I'm half Italian, but I look like Northern Italian. I look like I'm 3/8 Irish too.
Yeah.
So, but I did my South American accent generic, or I do a Colombian accent. Very much, I thought it was better than Al Pacino and Scarface, but I actually learned how to do a good Colombian accent from somebody from Colombia.
Nice.
And, I'd studied the German and the Ukrainian and the Irish and all that stuff. But, you add to your accents over time. But so I typed myself early on. And then later, it was a matter of getting the people that knew me, that were comfortable with me playing certain kind of characters, because I figured if I got 9 out of 10 roles as the bad guys, I want everybody to know me as a bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
So then, because I wanted to work, my goal was not to become a star, it was to work and make a living. So I did that. And then once people got to know me and be comfortable with me, hiring me a few times, then I'd slip them something else and they'd go, oh, wow. Oh, okay. Now we get it. See, that's what you have to tell your agents. You have to show your agents all the different things you can do. But casting directors, they aren't as open to it. They if you get 500 pictures of different kind of characters, they read it and they want you to walk in the door as that role. I almost got uncast 2 or 3 times because I read for these bad guy characters and I came to the first read through. Sometimes you just go right to set and you start working.
Yeah.
But sometimes they call you for a read through, and I blow dried my hair and I went in with my normal upbeat personality, joking around. They called my agent and the producers, the director talked to the producer. They said, I think we totally miscast this character. And because I didn't walk in to the read through as the character.
Oh my God.
And so then I realized that, oh, Jesus, a lot of people really are kind of dumb. And I hate to say it, but they're limited. They're not in TV and film. They're not used to people who've been trained for a lot of years in theater and to be versatile actors. And look, there's some people, if you can do one thing really good, more power to you, and if it works and you're working, you have a great career, great. But for people that are versatile, it's a constant job. I mean, there are stars that had to work hard, like Kurt Russell. Before, he was playing all the Disney movies when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And he had to talk. He wanted to play Escape from New York. And they go, Kurt Russell, are you kidding me? Forget it. So he grew his hair out. I remember reading the story about it. He grew the beard, goatee, put the patch over his eye, walked up to the director's door, and he said, hey, and he said, who are you? And he go, it's me, Kurt. And he lowered his voice a little bit, and they went, Kurt who? Kurt Russell. And he got the role because he had to show them that he could not only look like it, but he changed his voice and his whole mannerisms changed. And they went, oh, okay. But they don't think, because, some actors aren't as versatile as others.
Yeah.
And they can't change up. But it's a constant, this is the constant hard part of being an actor in the business, is you're dealing with people in theater. If you could play 2 completely diverse characters, and you could actually change your appearance, not even physically, but just by what you're thinking, and your mood, and be a completely different kind of person, it just kind of comes out of you. Then they know that, this person can play anything. We can make them look any way we want. But they're very visually oriented in TV and film, and they wanna see the character. I've lost roles because I walked into an audition because I was working on a job, and I give them the picture where I've got the goatee beard and the long hair, but then I had to maybe shave for something, and I was working on something where I was clean shaven, and they didn't trust it. And I said, but this is what I look like when I grow the beard out and the hair gets a little longer. But they need to be, so you have to kind of treat them. You have to figure out that the cast director's job, and even producers and directors too, they need to be secure with who they cast. And so it's the actor's job to try to make it easy for them to feel comfortable that you are the right choice for the characters. And part of that is, not confusing them too much with too much versatility, coming in as the character, showing them the character, and then letting them. And if they ever see you different from the character, make sure you've got 2 or 3 scenes in the can before you let them see what your what your personality is or what you look like, different.
So Greg, when did it all start for you? Like growing up, when did you think about acting? Because obviously a hell of a football player, which
I don't know. They wanted to cast in 7th grade Scrooge, and they just said, okay, everybody just go into a room and ad lib. And I just, I was very shy. You couldn't get me to say 2 sentences back to back. Wow. I was very shy. But I went in and I just said, I pretended to be my dad, and he was a military guy. So I just started ordering people around, and I just said, and I didn't even know we were casting for Scrooge. So I said, okay, you over here, you over there, be quiet, don't talk, you over here. And I was just ad-libbing. I didn't know. I was just pretending to be my dad, and they went, wow. And so they cast me as Scrooge, and I loved it. We're only allowed 1 semester in 7th grade, but they let me be in both semesters in 7th grade and both semesters in 8th grade. And an acting teacher in junior high said, if you like your own TV show. But then I just enjoyed it, but I didn't have time for it in high school because a lot of people don't know. I would have been drafted in the 10th round as a shortstop by the Oakland A's. But in high school, I played baseball. That was my best sport. And then I happened to play football too. And I was a decent, I ended up being first team all East Bay, Northern California punter in high school. And that led me to seeing Cal, but I turned down 2 baseball scholarships, and they called me during the draft from the A's. Wow. And 10th round. And they said, they wanted to draft me because Campy Campaneris back in the 1974 been around for a while. And the Giants had taller Steve Spire, and I was 6'3" at the time, lanky, but fast, good hitter, usually would close to lead the league in hitting. And I never made an error. My nickname was the vacuum, nice. So, and I had a strong arm. So they said, we want to draft you in the 10th round here, but if you're not going to come, you need to let us know. And I said, if it were the 2nd or 3rd or 4th round, I said, I'd come. But I said, I think the 10th round, I said, I appreciate it, but I think I'll go play baseball in college and try to improve my draft position. My goal was to be a professional baseball player.
Oh, wow.
And I happened to punt in addition to that. But I wanted to go to Cal. So I turned that down, and I said, don't draft me. And not a lot of people know that because I haven't told that story to a lot of people. Wow. But at the time, the A's, that's where I grew up, right up there in the East Bay. So the A's and the Giants were my teams, and the Raiders and the 49ers. And Oakland was just right over from Orinda. It's just right over the hill. So, so I forget the question completely. But the acting, how it started. So I couldn't do it in high school because I needed to earn a scholarship to get to college. We didn't have the money. My dad got cancer when I was young. We were really rich. He lost everything because he got ill. We lost. Our mom went to work 100-hour weeks, 7 days a week for 25 years, and basically straight with 3 younger brothers and me. So she said, if you want to get to college, Greg, you got to do it through your sports. And I happened to be pretty good at sports. So I got A's in school, and I spent the time after school, playing football and baseball, focusing. And my junior year, I even gave up basketball because I said, I'm not going to be a pro basketball player. So it's going to be baseball or football. So I got my scholarship from Cal. I got the starting position at punter, But then when I was in college, Cal was so damn tough. I turned down the UOP and San Jose State baseball scholarships that were my head coach, high school coach, had set up for me. Then they didn't have all the media now. So, you really were known in your kind of general local area, Northern California. And I didn't get the baseball scholarship to Cal or Stanford, which I would have taken in a second. But I had a bad day the day the two coaches were there. And so they didn't give me a scholarship in baseball, but they saw me punt at Cal. I got the football scholarship, but the coach promised me I could play baseball in the spring. So then in the spring, he lied to me. Coach Mike White, I'll call him right out. I'll never forget it. And it's one of the reasons I'm still angry at him to this day, but it's my fault. I let him do it. And he said, anybody who wants to go out for baseball, another sport, except for track, in the spring, who isn't out for spring football, will lose their scholarship. And I already earned the starting punter position as a true freshman. Me and Jim Breach, who was the place kicker, who had a 16-year for the Cincinnati Bengals as a place kicker, we were both starting freshmen at Cal in 1974. And then the classes were so damn hard at Cal, I just started taking acting classes and theater classes and lighting classes and anything, so I didn't have to write. Because I was taking Cal. Cal is the number one ranked public school in the country every year for the last 40 years. It is. Look, Stanford's good, Harvard's good. All right, Stanford's harder to get into, Harvard's harder to get into, but academically, Cal purposely makes it so hard those first 2 years. They want to lose about 40 to 50% of the people, have you flunk out. Wow. So they can then bring in juniors. So it is really tough. So I took classes after that first football season. We basically had Sundays to study. And I just went, okay. And I barely got, like a C minus, barely. And I just went, okay, I'm going to take some acting classes because that's the only other thing I enjoyed doing from when I was younger. And, it stuck because I apparently had a talent for it. And I had a good photographic memory. So memorizing lines was always very easy for me. But I had to learn a lot. I was scared to death. I was a shy guy. I was not extroverted. So those classes just scared the crap out of me. But it was still, I didn't have to write a 5-page essay every week or have tests every week in some, bachelor science class or even if it was a liberal arts class. There were no easy classes at Berkeley. Nothing. I took an astronomy class that I thought was astrology. That was the science class. We were doing quantum physics equations, and I'm going, what? So I took acting classes, and then I liked it. And I always thought, later on, I ended up giving up the baseball. I could have left Cal. I could have gone. My coach had said from high school, he said, look, you can play the baseball. Baseball is your sport. You're going to be a pro baseball player. I should have been a long pro punter too, but that's another story. I screwed the pooch on that one. And it's my fault, but I won't get into that. But the baseball, I could have left, gone, played baseball and punted for the football team in the off season, but I'd already earned the starting position at Cal as punter. It was Cal Berkeley, and so I stuck with it, and I kept taking acting classes, and then I went off. Then I had a falling out with the head coach after my junior year, which was a redshirt junior year, and then finally I had it with him. I basically in front of the entire team. I had a huge argument with him. I told him to, F you. I said, you're a liar. You're dishonest. And then I told him in the meeting room too. And I said. And we just had a big falling out, and he brought in another punter, and I beat him out hands down, not even close. He was the first team All California Junior College punter, and it wasn't even close in spring ball. Hang time, get off time, distance. I destroyed him in everything, kicking out of bounds inside the 10, and then he said, "Well, I didn't think you got that much better, Greg. I promised him he'd be the punter. You clearly beat him out. We're going to have to split time with you the last couple of years. And I said, no. I said, I'm the punter the next 2 years. I said, the whole team is behind me. I said, they know I beat him out badly. They know I'm the better punter. And if you try to pull this on me, I'm going to let everybody know it. And then he said, okay. He said, I understand where, and then he said, well, I have another option. He said, Coach Dick Tomey was the defensive coordinator for UCLA. They kind of all knew each other, those coaches, and he's taken over the University of Hawaii. So he said, you don't have to sit out a year. They're an independent. You don't have to sit out a year. It's not like going to another conference or a conference, same conference you had to sit out 2 years, a different conference you had to sit out 1 year. And he said, you can go play right away. He already knows you. I've already called him and talked to him about you. He's ready to go. If you want to go, he said, I knew we'd kind of have this problem. And he said, and I said, Hawaii? I said, call him. I didn't even think about it. And I had some good years in Hawaii. And then I acted there. They had an incredible drama program. Wow. They had a teacher there who was Laurence Olivier's understudy and best friend at the Royal Shakespeare Company. And I was playing all the lead roles on the main stage, Orlando and As You Like It. He played King Henry. I played Richard in Lion and Winter. I took all the acting classes, directing classes, all that for the 2 years I was there. And, but I just took it for fun. And I said at the end, because I was going to play pro football then. And I said to the teacher, I said, do you think, after the sports, I might be able to have a career in acting after the sports are done? And he looked at me and he said, no. I said, oh, okay. And then but then I was 2 years later, I was out of football. Yeah. And then I decided, okay, well, let me go train. Let me get a master's degree. Let me spend 2 years really, I went through the method, the whole thing, the UCLA's master's acting program. And then I started working. And about 10 years, I went back to the teacher. And I said, Terrence Knapp was his name. He's passed away. And I said, you remember when you said no? When I said I was playing all the lead roles, I was I got the A's in all the classes. I said, why did you say no? I said, was I just not good enough then? Or he said, no. He said, because I said, when I asked if you thought I could be a professional actor, I had the ability. And he said, no. And I said, well, why did you say that? He said, because you had to ask. And I went, and he said, basically, he said, if you're waiting for other people's approval, if you need other people's, he said, it's not for you. Yeah. You only go into acting if you are called to go into it, if you have to. And I did. When I was done with the sports, I tried a whole bunch of other things. There was nothing else I enjoyed, nothing else. So I said, I'm going to be an actor or I'm going to die trying. If I have to work at $400 a week at a theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I'm going to do it. I don't care, what happens. I'm just going to act. And when I made that decision, I treated it seriously, like I did all the sports stuff, and I just got as good as I could, and I just didn't leave myself out, and I just went for it, and I just, it's just something I had to do, and I say that to all other actors who want to. I have people coming up to me all the time. Do you think I'm thinking about being an actor? What do you think? What is this? I said, well, I've done this. What do you think? I took, a year and a half acting class, and I'm thinking of coming down and working professionally. And, do you have any advice? And I said, keep training. When you're ready, when you feel like, you come down and then you make a go of it. But I don't, it's not like, because it's not easy. You don't, a lot of people, if I had kids, I would not try to push them into becoming an actor. Just like as a professional athlete, I would not push my kid. I'd open them up to sports, but I also get them to play piano too, And if you wanted to play an instrument, whatever, take a dance class. Who knows? But you don't be the we used to call it a stage mother or stage father, or the coaches who were athletes that never made it anywhere, that try to live through their children.
I knew them in my town. No, I know.
Yeah, and then they destroy the love of the game for the kid.
Yeah.
They yell at him. They, you did this, you did that, you should have done this, you should have done that, and the kid loses. I didn't have anybody guiding me in sports. I just loved it, and so if you love something, you're going to go after it as hard as you can, and you're not going to accept anything short.
How'd you start punting? Was it just one day, like practice? How'd you start punting? How'd that start?
Junior high, they had punt, pass, and kick, and then the junior high guy said to the high school coach, because I was a finesse athlete. I was basketball, I was baseball. I was not a big, strong, tough guy. I was thin. 175 pounds, 6'2" in high school. I got to be 6'4", 220 by the time I was a senior in college. And I was punting like Ray Guy. I was kicking the ball like 5'6", 5'7", 5.8 hang time.
Wow.
50 to 68 yard fair catch punts. And, I was really kicking the crap out of the ball. But I was a better punter my junior and senior year than I was my freshman and sophomore year. I just, so my freshman year in high school, I didn't go out. I didn't want to go out for the football team. But they knew I could punt. So by sophomore year, I went out for the JV, but I said, I'm not going to play pro football. I'm not going to play a regular position pro football.
Right.
Baseball was what I wanted. So I said, but the guy said, well, can you try punting a little bit? Because we know you've got a pretty good leg. We saw you when you did the punt, pass, and kick in junior high, and so I just started punting, and then all of a sudden I'm just punting for the varsity, and baseball I was like starting as a true freshman, on the high school team, because Bronco Pony Colt, I was a serious baseball player, but punting I just got better at over time and better, and then we ended up winning the number one in the team in the East Bay. I had these write-ups, and I got we had some players make all league, but I was the only one that made first team all East Bay as a punter. And that got some people to notice. And I just got better over time. I think I averaged about 48 and a half yards in high school.
Wow.
But I was much better as time went on. I got stronger. I built more muscle. I didn't really get my full muscular development until I was about 22 or 23 years old. But it was just a thing. I have long legs, and sprinters make good punters. The reason most punters, you don't see a lot of big linemen punting who got really strong legs. You do, like, I don't know if you know, there was a punter named Reggie Roby who was like 260 pounds, but he was limber, because punting is kind of like the end of a whip. It's like snapping a whip in a crack. And so a sprinter, you move that leg fast, and then you pop it, with power, but speed, and you hit it at the right time. And so sprinters, actually, I was a sprinter. So and then I had long legs. And it was something that came naturally to me. It was just a skill that the coaches had seen me have. I didn't even kick a spiral, and they go, whoa. So that if he practiced for a while taking spots, he could be pretty good. And so I just did that too, But I was playing regular position by the time I was a senior in high school. I was a free safety, and I enjoyed that. And I actually started enjoying hitting people then, because I got a little bigger and stronger. But when I got to college, Cal, that was a pro team. That was not a college.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know. That was Chuck Muncie, Steve Bartkowski, Wesley Walker. Herman Edwards was Herman Edwards, the coach. Herman Edwards, who's on ESPN now.
Yep.
But he's back coaching Arizona State. But he coached the Jets, and he played at Philly, defensive back for years. He was our defensive back. We had 11 players from just seniors from the 1974 team start in the pros the next year.
Wow.
And then the next year, 75, we won the Pac-8 coach championship with UCLA. But here I am as a punter on 2 years in a row, we led the nation in total offense. So actually, the best thing that I did when I went to Hawaii, honestly, it wasn't as good a team.
No, yeah.
I mean, because the people that they had put together at Cal, all those were under Bill Walsh at Stanford, and Bill Walsh 49ers. And then the head coach, Mike White, went to Cal, and the offensive coordinator, Mike White, went to Cal. The defensive coordinator, Dick Vermeil, went to UCLA. And then they had their people behind them. And this, so I don't know why I brought that up, but yeah, that's how I started punting. And, I kind of missed my Lee Steinberg. I signed on as my agent. Green Bay had me down. My coach didn't tell me. He said they had you number one in the country, Greg, on their charts. And Lee Steinberg, he didn't know how good I was. I signed with him after the season. And he said, well, let me just get you against one incumbent punter. Green Bay wanted me. They've been scouting me for 2 years. Wow. They had me down on their draft charts as the number one punter in the country. And that was the year Russell Erxleben, I guess, won the first team All-American punter. But they had me down ahead of him. But they knew they could get me as a free agent because we had no TV out in Hawaii. They were following me through the other coaches, my hang times, my distance, how kicking out of bounds, my get off times. They had coaches come out and see me and check on me. So none of the other teams knew about me. And I sat out that season. I did not go to Green Bay because Lee Steinberg said he'd get me somewhere else. Don't go to camp. I listened to him instead of just going with my heart. I didn't call my head coach. He said, Greg, why didn't you call me? And 3 of the punters I played that went to Green Bay, of the 11 punters, they took 11 rookies in. I played against about 8 of them. 3 of them that I played against, honestly, this is not just bragging. It's just the truth. I was better than them. Yeah. I played one San Jose State punter I played against 3 years. I saw him punt. I knew the other guy, Rich Camarillo, and there was another guy. And they all got cut from Green Bay, and they had 15-year NFL careers because they got picked up right away from other teams.
Yeah.
So then the next year, I got set up to go with the Chargers. I was signed with them in the offseason. I worked out with them in the offseason, the spring and the summer. And then a week before camp, I'm sprinting on the dirt practice field right next to the stadium. And I hit a pothole with my left foot in a full sprint and tore just from my knee to my upper thigh, just ripped the hell out of my right thigh muscle. And I went into camp where, even Coach Tomey, the coach from Hawaii, came to visit me. And once they saw I was injured, they just released me, so during the preseason. And, so I hadn't, and then, I broke up with my girlfriend, and I just said, I would have had to come. I would have been now a third year. I would have been a 26-year-old rookie. And I can't go back to Green Bay because, they probably were mad at me that I didn't go.
Yeah.
And I should have gone back to Green. I should never have listened to Lee Steinberg. And Lee Steinberg, he just thought he knew everything. And you know what? I thought best agent in the business. I thought, well, this guy's going to know what to do.
Yeah, of course.
And he has set other people up, but I should have gone to camp for Green Bay, and I didn't. So that's the story of how I screwed the pooch with and I could have kept playing and trying for other teams. Like Jim Breach got cut by 4 teams before he got picked up by Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't love it, and they were only paying $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
And the best punter in the NFL, Ray Guy, was making $100,000 a year. That was it. So I don't know. If it were baseball, if I stuck with baseball, I never would have. If I just ended up, even if they have the AA, the AAA, even if I would have been a coach, if I didn't play, but I would have ended up playing third base for a while. I don't know how long. Injuries can happen, but I love baseball, and I would have never left it. I would have never left. I would have coached. I would have, even if it was a farm team, I just would have stayed involved. But once I got tricked out of, the reason I was angry at Mike White, the coach for Cal, for threatening to take away the scholarship, is that it was against NCAA rules for him to do that.
Oh, I'm sure.
We were allowed to play other sports if we wanted to in the off season. He was just a jerk and wanted me there for spring ball. So he basically lied and said he could take my scholarship away, which he couldn't.
Yeah.
And I went along with it and didn't leave and go to another college. So I blame myself, for that. So that's how the punting thing happened, the baseball, the punting, the sports. But it all, then I putzed around for 2 years selling insurance, waiting on tables, and I wasn't happy. And that's when I decided to finish, I had the degree from Hawaii, but I only had 2 more classes to take at Cal they said, you don't even need senior residency. We're here 3 full years. So just take a class and we'll give you the degree from Cal. And
nice.
And then I auditioned for the master's acting program at UCLA, and I got in, and then I took it. I was in the directing. I was in the directing program. I was accepted to for Hawaii, but I chose the acting program, of course, at UCLA. And
then you're doing theater for a lot of years, right? After that,
well, I did theater in college a lot of years, and then I had the one professional theater job, which was PCPA Theater Fest, which was in Santa Maria and Solvang on the Central Coast in California. And it was basically, they brought in professional actors to work with the college actors. And they would teach classes during the school year and then act in the plays with them during the summer. And so that was my first professional job. We did Hamlet, Amadeus, and a very obscure film, Northern Yorkshire film called And a Nightingale Sang. But I, played smaller characters, but I understudied Salieri and Amadeus, and I understudied Hamlet. I understudied Claudius in Hamlet. I understudied Laertes in Hamlet. And, that was the first professional job. But I kind of realized then, a well-known guy named John Malkovich was in theater for about 20 to 25 years, becoming a Broadway star. And then he got into TV and film.
Yeah.
And I realized, too, making a living in theater, most of the theaters do musical theater for summer theater, or the Denver Rep, or there are theaters all around the country that are summer and sometimes fall. You have Ashland, you have the Old Globe in San Diego, you've got the Ashland, Oregon up there that's year round. Yeah. But about maybe 30 or 40% of them are straight plays, and about 50 to 60% of them are musicals. And I wasn't a big singing musical actor. And I realized that I could, spend a lot of years, in theater, just trying to get work and fighting the people who were doing the musicals, just doing the straight plays. So only because they would want to cast somebody who could do both musicals and straight plays, you know. So, and, a lot of stuff on Broadway are musicals too, now they're not all straight plays. So that's when I realized, okay, I need to go back to LA. I always knew I wanted to do TV and film. So that's when I said, okay, and then I didn't, they had a thing called the Drama Log, which was a newspaper that came out, a magazine that came out once a week, and had auditions for non-union films. And I just would get a picture and I'd send them out and I'd go audition. And everyone I auditioned for, I got, I just, because I think everybody and their grandmother was auditioning for roles trying to get in films, but, maybe not everybody had training. But so I put up my first film I did for free. And they killed us 20-hour days, 7 days a week for about 6.5, 7 weeks. Went through 4 different crews who quit on them. They didn't even pay us. But I figured, well, I put all these free years in theater. So, let me just get some experience working on the set. And it just came naturally, working with the camera, learn things, camera left, camera right, how to walk to marks, stuff like that. And just basic stuff, because I had the acting stuff down, but I just needed to learn the technical aspects of working on a set. And
what was the first movie? What was that first one? Was that Hack-O-Lantern?
Yeah. Yes. And you know what? I left it off my resume for my entire career. I would not even put it down. I used a scene or two for my demo reel, but once I did a few other non-union films, I took it off real quickly. But you know what? I got to admit, it's a great name, you know.
Yeah.
But it was cast by an Indian director and producer who didn't speak a word of English. So he hired us just on looks, and they would shoot takes, and we'd have to tell them if the take was good or not, because they didn't speak English, you know. So it was really just, you know, it was a slasher film, a bad slasher film, but that's what they were buying then in the 80s.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
1985, well, it was 86, maybe 87, and they were, you know, a little slasher, or a little action, or a little nudity, you know, and that's what all the foreign companies were buying. They'd go to the film festivals and they'd buy up all these low budget films, and then there was a market for them. Now it's totally different with all the online stuff, but all that, that's the way they sold films abroad in the old days. They make them real cheap and sell them, you know, and they'd actually make money on all.
Oh, yeah. Like the one that I wanted to ask you about was Dead End City.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime, and I watched it. What a cool movie. Robert Jadar. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I chose to play. They said, you want to play the bad guy in that or the good guy? And I said, well, let's see. The first film I was kind of hack-o'-lantern. I was the bad guy. And then I was doing another thing called Deadly Addiction. Every Sunday for about 7 months we shot it, and I was the bad guy. So I said, let me be the good guy for this one. And so I chose the good guy, and then they got Bob Zidar, you know, who's great.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, low production quality. I mean, it's low budget, but I can't believe these films are kind of coming back, because people are going, you know, they're campy as hell. You know, the production quality isn't so great, but, you know, if you look at the big budget stuff now, it kind of looks hokey too, from the 80s. You know, I mean, look at there are a few great films from the 80s where money was spent. Lethal Weapon, Die Hard. You know, those were they're still some of the great action movies.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, the low budget people, you know, you couldn't compete with that kind of action, but you did whatever level you could. And Dead End City was just an idea of some warehouse business. You know, it was kind of the Escape from New York kind of thing.
So, yeah.
In a different situation. And, we worked our butts off. We did all our own stunts. We did.
That's what I was going to ask. So me and my wife love Bosch. So after I talked to Troy, I always do my research watching stuff. And I read a couple of the Michael Connelly books like years ago. Yeah. So he goes, oh, you have to watch Bosch, you know? And so I watched an episode before I interviewed him. And then me and my wife got hooked because we're home. Yeah. And we're just watching it. We just finished season 6. And so we're watching Dead End City. She's a teacher, so she has to wake up a lot earlier than I am. And she goes, is that great? And I go, yeah. And I'm like, I think he did his own stunt. So you did. There was that scene that was
I just fell back on that. Yeah, but that was nothing.
No, the one, was that you on the back of the truck? When the truck was moving, did you get out?
From the other, which film? From Dead End City?
From Dead End City, yeah.
Yeah, I did everything then. They don't hire, when you do non-union film. I was an athlete, so
no, I know, but still,
they don't have money to hire stunt people for actors. In small films, you do your own stuff. So I was diving through windows. I came through ceiling lights. I just said, look, I won't do a high fall above 2 stories. I said, I'm not a tumbler. I'm not a great diver. I don't want to land on my neck and break it. And I won't do full fire burns, but anything else I'll do. And I did all that high-speed car chases and all that stuff, skidding around and jumping from car to the trucks. And there's another film called Action USA that they have renovated, updated the sound, added stuff. And now, I mean, because that was Jon Stewart was a stunt man who got so injured on a stunt that he had to become a coordinator fairly young. And he just put all the stunt guys together and they created all these stunts. And they said, what kind of script can we write around all these stunts? So the first unit normally is the actors and the stunts are the second unit normally. Well, on that film, we lovingly called the stunt guys the first unit and the actors were the second unit. So, but it was fun. And actually that was honestly the first actual film that I was kind of proud of, even though, they did it on nothing. Waco, Texas gave us everything. High falls out of the buildings, falling out of the helicopters coming through town. They gave us all the cars to blow up, the trailer, everything, the house to blow up. Free. Wow. Everything was free. The cops sectioning off streets for free. Everything. They give us everything. We shot so much there. So yeah, Dead End City, all those things. And, it was my introduction. When you play action films and you're playing good guys or bad guys, and most of it's action, it's very physical. It's a lot of work. And you don't just do one take, No. So for all of those running scenes and falling scenes and fight scenes and scenes going through windows and this and that, they want a lot of backup takes just to make sure they got it. And yeah, so it was now as I got older, I kept doing it. I hit about 50. I was about 53 and I'm pretty beat up from the years of stunt work. I've had 7 hospitalized concussions. I've had, my body is beat up. Like, I feel like I played a regular position in pro football for about 18 years. No joke, seriously, because, you're not just doing the fights and the whipping, the head whipping, just that alone, the neck.
Yeah.
But falling back over tables over and over again, taking impact, you're slamming against things. You're going onto the ground, concrete. In the beginning, you don't even if you have pads, if you do it enough times, you're getting a lot of impact injuries. They're not like subtle little injuries. I have more scar tissue from my neck to the bottom of my spine than the guy who did my last MRI just kind of looked at me and he said, in 24 years, you don't need surgery yet. He said, but in 24 years, I've never seen this much scar tissue from the top of the neck, the cervical vertebrae, down to the bottom, the lumbar of the spine. I have never seen this much scar tissue on one person. And he said, you must be in a lot of pain, a lot. And I go, yeah, that's why I'm here, But it's not just the back, it's the knees, it's the elbows, it's the stuff. And, I worked out 6 days. I ran 6 days a week. I lifted 2.5 hours every day. I wasn't working on the set. I had to be in shape, for these films. And, but I have little pieces of me I've left all over the country and the world. And, from skin, blood, lots of stuff. I've left pieces of me all over. Yeah. There's DNA of me on all kinds of things all over the world. Yeah. Yeah. But
so I know you said Action USA was like, you're really proud of that. What was the first movie you were in afterwards? You're like, because I know that was in your head, you're like, I'm going to be an actor. This is what I'm going to do. So your mind is like, blinders
the key
on.
was getting that. And I didn't have an agent yet then. So I did, the Deadly Hackling or Deadly Addiction, Dead End City. Then came Action USA,
Blood Games, the one in prison, the prison one with all the girls in prison.
Cage Fury. Oh my God. How did you find that? Oh my God. Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden I finally got an agent and I got in the film that Max Clevin, who was the stunt coordinator for all the Clint Eastwood movies going back to Iger Sanction. He cast me. I went to read for an audition and they needed a Colombian drug smuggler. And I said to my guy, the casting director, I said, give me 2 days. Let me get some sun. I dyed my hair black, did the ponytail, and I did my, my Columbia. And I walk in very dangerous. I keep wanting to go into Ukrainian here, but very cool. And I did Russian there. I slipped into it because Spanish is very close to Ukrainian. And so it's hard for me to ad lib now because I've been doing so much Ukrainian stuff. But I did it, and just he saw all these South American actors read for it, but he cast me and he put me in the Union. He Taft-Hartley me in the Union.
Wow!
And that was and I played Cesar Salazar, and I was the lead bad guy with David Hasselhoff and Linda Blair playing the 2 leads. And then I got an agent after that. And then I started getting union auditions. And I think my first union film was, let's see, I did a Mama's Family. I did a divorce court where I played the gay queen. I did a Murphy Brown, just 2 lines. But then my first film, I think after that union, was Phantom of the Mall which was really a great name. We shot it in the Encino Mall.
Oh, nice.
And, at nights when nobody was in there. And it was kind of hokey. I was one of the bad guys. There was the bad guy who was the Phantom, but then I was the evil guard. So, but then all of a sudden Stone Cold came with Lance Henriksen and Brian Bosworth and some other Robert. Oh God, he's a great actor. Oh, come on.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. I just watched him in. I watched Out for Justice. After I watched. I can't think of his name.
He did Out for Justice right after he did Stone Cold. His father was well known. I think his father was in the business.
How do I not know his name? This is like embarrassing.
Robert. This is good. That's killing me. I worked out today, so I'm a little dingy.
No, I should know it because I just finished Out for Justice the other night. Because after I watched Stone Cold, I'm like, dude, I need to know. I should know this.
Yeah, no, he did. He had his own series for a while where he played. What did he play? That was it. He played Al Capone.
Oh, William Forsythe.
Yeah, William Forsythe. Yeah, because his dad, I believe, was Robert Forsythe.
Yeah,
I think. So I never asked him that, but I always thought it was.
But in those 2 movies, he is like batshit crazy. I don't know. Is he like a method guy? Like when they were like cut?
Yes,
he was in it. Oh,
yeah. He stayed like that through the whole summer down in Mississippi and Arkansas. That was a wild shoot. And Lance Henriksen, who's a great actor.
Oh yeah,
and a great guy. But a lot of the guys, because we were around all the bikers, they kind of wanted to stay in character for them too when we were just putzing around and this and that, and even at the hotel. So, it was a pretty crazy film, fun film, but it's like this cult biker film now. I ended up getting a role with Michael Cimino years later. He wanted a couple guys, one guy to play a biker in like a pool table bar fight scene and in a Sun Chaser with Woody Harrelson. And not a lot of people saw that film, but he got it from watching Stone Cold. He said, I watched Stone Cold. Somebody said, watch Stone Cold, find one of the supporting actors in there. And he chose me. And because I played AWOL and he liked that. So, it's just been a slow move up, and then I got through Max Clevin, who cast me with, it was called WB Blue and the Bean. Now it's called Bailout with David Hasselhoff and Linda Blair. And then I got, and then he produced that himself as a producer and directed himself. And then when he was stunt coordinator for Tim Burton and Batman Returns, he had brought in for just one line. He brought in 100 stunt guys, and Tim Burton said, no, 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 no. And Max finally said, Greg, okay. He said, I got a guy. He said, if you don't say yes to him, I am sure you're going to say yes to him, because if you don't, I promise you, I will walk away from this film. I'm so sure you're going to like him. Wow. And so he brought me in for just one line. And I met him in the hallway, and he says, hi, this is Greg Cummins, Tim Burton. Hi, nice to meet you. And he said, well, go ahead, Greg, just do the line. And we're in the hallway outside. And I just said, I'm not really one for speeches, so I'll just say thanks, And he said, hired. And Max, and he took off and said, nice to meet you. You're hired. And then Max went, and I got a nice, 14 weeks out of it, just sitting in the background. And I made a lot of money off that film, but I was hardly in it, but then that led to Cliffhanger. And then if you're in a bigger A-grade film, then all of a sudden the TV people who weren't calling you to directors before, they suddenly start going, oh, yeah. Oh, he worked with Rennie Harlan on Cliffhanger. Yeah. Oh, he worked with Tim Burton on Batman Returns, and they haven't come out yet, but maybe we should start bringing. And so I started getting all this TV work, and then it just started rolling after that. And I was on sets playing different characters on different shows, because the bad guy gets killed off. So yeah. Cliffhanger was a nice 6 month job, but when you get a TV episodic, you work for about 9 to 10, 11 days, and you audition for it, you go do the job, and then you're auditioning, 4 to 7 auditions a week. Every week you're not working. And that's the way it was for me for years. And I'd be on the sets maybe 7, 8 months a year, getting paid. And then every week I wasn't getting paid. I was just auditioning like a madman. And it was just kind of year round of that first 18 or 20 years. And then once I kind of got to late 40s, early 50s, then it slowed down a little bit, because I started looking a little older. The roles started, so I started to have to change myself a little bit different. And then I finally figured out, to start cutting my hair shorter. And then I got more character in my face, so I could play bad guys without the goatee beard. Yeah. Because I needed the goatee beard, because I didn't have that real, a lot of bad guys, they've got that real character face where they don't need the beard, but I needed the beard because I had this baby face. And whenever I went to read for a bad guy with the baby face, I never get the job. Yeah. So I always had to scum myself out in some way. And as I got older, then I said, okay, now that my face is more of a character face, it's got a little more gravitas to it, more lines. I could look meaner without having the baby face. And then maybe I can get cop and detective and FBI and CIA and sheriffs and lawyers and CEOs and, but that's how you have to break the characters down, because that's, as an actor, that's what you have to figure out is where are they going to see me? And then, as you grow through the years, you have to keep getting new pictures. Right now, I have 12 different pictures of me in different looks. I have a picture that's a little more European, a little more Russian looking, a little upper class Russian. I have low class white trash, or truck driver. Then I have low class white trash picture. Then I have kind of like, real redneck white trash. Like neo-Nazi redneck white trash. Then I have, then I've got the cop pictures, the suit, the casual picture with the open collar where I'm, an office worker. I have the full 3-piece suit for a CEO or FBI, whatever. But I still got my bad guy shots too, so, but then now they're the clean shaven bad guy shots. So I have a little more intensity to my look, so, and the Luther character for It's Always Sunny came out of, just I played. That's the look I had as a bad guy for years. They added some white to it because I actually, after the audition, I cut my hair, dyed my hair a little darker to match what I did in the audition. But I cut it. I wanted to be shorter and slicked, and had the goatee. And then I went in, and I didn't have any white. And they kind of freaked out, because they said, you only look about 5 years older than Mac, who, my son.
Yeah.
And I go, no, trust me. As soon as I get my hair slicked back, I get the tattoos on. I talk to you in my other voices, my a little more macho, badass, tough voice. I become the character. I will appear older. Trust me. And they didn't trust that, so they said, "Well, let's start them out with some white just in case." And then they started adding to it over time. But because this is me. I don't. I have a little. I'm turning 65 in a couple months. I have a little white starting here, and maybe just a little here. But this is just my hair.
That's great.
But you can see a lot of the stuff, the pictures that you have. I dyed it darker when I played bad guys because, the lighter hair kind of softened my face.
And that's usually the good guy. It's like good versus evil. So
yeah. And the darker character gave me a chance to play more ethnic characters, as well as my eyes popped out more. You get tan and you got that darker hair. It makes you look a little meaner, a little tougher.
Yeah. So when you're playing Luther, are you doing like a William Forsythe, like before a scene? Are you already like, Luther?
Well, we joke around like it's a comedy. So but before I scene, I totally, I definitely get into character. See, I didn't play it to be funny. You see, everybody else, they told me they had auditioned all these other guys to play that character, and they were actually playing it trying to be funny, so they were playing it kind of in a funny way, scary, but funny, scary. And I said, well, wait a minute. I thought, they're the funny guys.
Yeah.
This guy's, he was actually written not to get out of jail. It was just a one-time hire. We didn't know it'd be a recurring role. So I had killed 6 people, but they edited all that out after we shot it once they realized they wanted to bring me back. So I was a guy who killed 6 people, badass, and I didn't give a shit about my son. All I cared about was getting more heroin in. And here's my son visiting me. And so, you know what? I'll be, just let him do whatever he wants to do. But basically my goal is to just get heroin. And I never treated him well anyway. So there's nobody redeeming on that show. So I played it totally straight. I played just where he came in and I'm just like, staring at him and, what the F do you want, and just that kind of thing. And just talking, and then he's like, and then all of a sudden I see that, well, hey, Dad, it's so good to me. Can we do anything for you? Whatever. I go, hey, well, then I think, okay, yeah, you could do something for me. You could, what do you guys know about smuggling heroin through your anus? But I was totally serious when I played.
That's great. Yeah.
And then the eyes are popping out, huh? Popping out. Yeah. Sounds good, huh? And they're going, and that's where the humor came from. And Dennis, the character Dennis, I'm
Rob.
Rob is Mac. Charlie is Charlie, and
Glenn, right?
Glenn is Dennis. Yeah. I worked out. I'm tired. I'm not thinking about it. So Glenn came to me, after the 5th, 6th, 7th season, and he said, I just wanted you to know that they had all these guys reading for Luther that were. I saw what you were doing, he said, and he said I kind of helped talk the other guys into it. He said, you played it straight and you knew that the humor would come from the intensity of you playing it real and then us reacting off of it. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I did. And he said, I got that, you see, and that's why you were cast. He said, because everybody else played it. A lot of characters that they have that are supporting characters on that show are very funny characters.
Oh, yeah.
Cricket and all that, they're quirky and funny. But I thought, the way Luther was written, he was written to be a really badass. If I overplayed him, if I played him to try to be funny, well, I'm not a comedian. I'm an act. So I've got to keep even if you're playing comedy, you can have a heightened level of reality. You know, I mean, look at All in the Family. It was a funny show, but you know, when Michael is yelling at Archie, you know, I mean, they're not trying to be funny. They're arguing with each other, and they're serious. And it's just the dialogue that makes it funny, and what they're doing and their intensity that makes it funny. So, you know, you learn that a lot of times humor just comes out of maybe a heightened intensity. But for me, that's the way, because I'm not a comedian. I'm not a Kramer. I'm not a Jim Ignatowski from Taxi. You know, Christopher Lloyd. I could play that kind of character, but I'm not that character. I'm not a stand-up comic.
Yeah. You know, so then we have to talk about, obviously, Bosch.
Yeah.
Man, when that comes up, like Amazon Prime, was that the first time that you, like, one of the streaming services that you auditioned for one of them, or?
Yeah. And I didn't know any of those guys. A lot of those guys had worked on, Eric Overmyer, who's the executive producer and head writer, other than Michael Connelly, who wrote the books, and they work in tandem. But Eric really oversees everything from show to show to show to show. And then they bring in other writers too. But Eric's got his eye on everything. And he's the one who really adapted Michael Connelly's novels for the first season, and then each one on, sometimes working with Michael, but he had done ER, I think, and he had worked with Troy years ago.
Oh, okay.
And Amy Aquino was on ER.
Oh, yeah.
And then Eric Overmyer was also the executive producer and writer of The Wire, which Lance Reddick was on and Jamie Hector was on.
Yeah.
And so I had no connection with them. It just turned out they had 3 lines. I had no idea what kind of character it was. It was just a detective. And I figured, well, it's not a comedy. But my scene was kind of semi-funny, but it wasn't really. You had to play it straight. You know, it's just getting the tickets. That's basketball tickets was my scene. I had 3 lines, but I just I didn't know what they were looking for in the character. It really didn't say in the character description, so I just went in myself, and I read it like a serious cop. You know, okay, give me the tickets, you know, and you know, and then all of a sudden they say something, and then they weren't. Give me the tickets, you know, and because I wanted the tickets, and then they went scene, you know, it was over, and I didn't stop. I just kind of kept, no. I walk away from the camera, start walking to the casting director, and I'd say, no, I didn't come here to audition for any. I came here for the basketball tickets. Give me the Lakers Celtic tickets. That's what I'm here for. And so I kind of just kept going with it. I'm just being me, you know. And it turned out that's exactly what they were looking for in the character. I had no idea, but they wanted the character to be serious, but have a little humor come out of it too. You know, not trying to be funny, but I actually wasn't trying to be funny. I was just, you know, like I'm goofing around saying I'm good looking and stuff like that. I was just being myself, just continuing the scene, even though they called the scene. I wanted the tickets, and that was my objective. And I was not going to leave that room until I got the tickets. And when I didn't get the tickets, I was just like, are you serious? You know, I mean, there's no you mean there's no tickets? And they're cracking up in the couch, Michael Connelly and Eric Overmyer. And I'm just like, I go, okay, great. This has just been a wonderful day. Just a wonderful day. You know, thank you. Guys, have a great day. And then I'll see you later. And then I gave him a little wink or something as I left the room, and I just kind of just joking. And I got the role, and they paired me with Troy, and that was that. So, you know.
That's great. I would love to see that. I don't know. You mentioned Danny DeVito a few times, and he's like, I love him because I'm in Jersey. I'm a Jersey guy, so he's from Jersey. And
he's
I don't know if you ever
Italian too. Let me tell you.
I know.
Yeah,
I listened to an interview with him on Mark Maron, who's another guy I love, and the fact that the way Danny DeVito got into acting, he was like cutting hair for his sister. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But his audition for Taxi, his story was,
I know it. Yeah,
you know the story? Okay.
Yeah, I know it. Go ahead.
How amazing is that? He walks in and he goes, "Who wrote this shit?"
Yeah.
And he just throws it and leaves.
Yeah. And actually, I also heard too, I think that he went up to the guy's hotel room, the director's hotel room, and I think he knocked on the door and said something and then threw it away. And then I think he did something where he got up at a table and started yelling at everybody, or I don't know what he did, but he just, and when I heard things like that, because I heard that when I was younger, and you think, okay, where do you apply that? Well, the thing is, it's just doing something that makes you stand out a little more. And it's, it's not like you have to, but that, it's exactly what they were looking for the character Louis De Palma, is an outrageous guy who will just get tough on people, but he's lovable and likable at the same time, and what a career Danny DeVito has had. I mean, he went from being just Taxi to, he was the director and producer of War of the Roses with Michael Douglas and what's her name?
Throw Mama from the Train. I think was one of his first.
He produced and directed with it. I'm not sure if it was all his money, but it was some of it, I'm sure, because he's not poor.
No,
But Jack Nicholson, he directed Hoffa with Jack Nicholson, won an Academy Award. So he'd done a bunch of the films with Michael Douglas where they were kind of like Harrison Ford, but
Romancing the Stone, Jewel Denial,
So he'd done a lot of directing and producing, and he got into that too. He's very smart, very talented guy, and a very smart guy,
But like you said, it's like you want to nail the character in the audition, obviously, but you want to almost be like something that they're going to talk about.
Well, and that's what I did with the bad guys, is that I always say, there was something that always just rang in my head years ago. See, well, in training as an actor, you're chosen to you have an objective in a scene.
Yeah.
You have something that you want from another person or other people, something you're doing actively. And even if you're listening and ignoring them, that's still an active choice. In other words, I'm ignoring them, but you learn to make choices that are interesting. My teachers used to say, that's why Jack Nicholson is so great. He makes choices that are interesting. Is a person who has a normal response to something interesting to watch, or is it interesting to see a guy who's maybe 90 years old who drinks whiskey and skydives? So you make the choices that are going to be more combative or interesting. And so you have these choices when you go in. So when I would go in, even just as bad guys, I would purposely go in, and having classical training help, because you have a beginning, middle, and end. And sometimes you get these scripts on the lower levels and they wouldn't be that good. Bosch is incredibly well written. I did a thing with Bill Whitliff right after he did Lonesome Dove. That was like Southern Shakespeare. You didn't change an and, if, or but. It was perfect. But some of the scripts for TV, so whatever, you've got to, even if the scene doesn't have it, you've got to create it yourself. You create a beginning, middle, end. Maybe you start low. You don't do things that are expected. Everybody else is doing something expected. So when they have the exclamation marks, everybody else is yelling. I don't yell. I won't yell in those spots. I'll do it a different way. And then all of a sudden they'll be at a very benign line that might not have anything to do with anything. And then I'll let my anger out on that. And maybe I'll kill the person on that line when they don't expect me to, or I'll blow up like crazy. And there was a guy, I forget the name of the actor. He did The Cotton Club. And he played one of the scariest freaking bad guys, because when you thought he was going to get angry and blow up, and he was like really, well, he was kind of like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
You didn't know when he was going to blow. So on the Cotton Club, the guy, and he was a great actor, and I'm just blanking on his name.
It's not James Remar, right? I know he's in that movie, but I don't know if it's him, right?
It might be. I don't remember the name. He did a lot of stuff for a lot of years, but I remember he was very dangerous. He played one of the gangsters, and somebody would come in and do something, and you'd think, oh, this guy's dead. And he'd do something, and it wouldn't be like, he wouldn't kill him. And he'd be calm, and he'd do something over here, and he'd have a drink, and he wouldn't like set it up, and you wouldn't think it was coming. And then he'd be talking to somebody else like this, and then he'd go like this, and all of a sudden he'd turn and just stick a knife right in the guy's freaking throat, and you go, whoa, where did that come from? But he made choices that were unexpected, and that's what I did when I played bad guys for a lot of years. Now, sometimes TV, especially, they want you to kind of be predictable,
like
so
vanilla,
you kind of got to do, they don't want you to find too many subtleties and all that. But if you have the opportunity to do something, stuff where, you can do unexpected things, and I used to get reactions in audition rooms from making those kinds of choices that would be totally unexpected, where, I literally would have people falling out of their chairs sometimes, because I would get up close and I'd sit in a chair and I'd do this, I'd be standing and I'd do this, and they'd think, well, they prepare themselves for when they thought I was going to blow or be intimidating. And I wouldn't be. I'd be subtle and cool and casual and and all of a sudden they'd kind of relax. And then all of a sudden, boom, and then I go, boom, then I hit them. And, with something, and they just scared the living. I had people falling over in their chairs because they didn't expect it. And that's, what I learned from watching, from early training, and then from watching certain people in films that were very interesting, that you just kept your eye on all the time, because they did unexpected things. And those were the interesting people to watch. And I think that's the good acting too.
Oh yeah. When you're watching a guy, like you said, like Joe Pesci as an example, when you're like waiting for them, you're like, oh, he's gonna do it now. And then it's like, then for 1 second you like rest. Your mind says like, he wouldn't do it now. And then you do it now. So with Bosch, obviously super successful. A ton of people have to watch it. It's that good.
I said in the beginning too, I said to Troy, I said, I figured my age, and I figured my age to 65. I said, I haven't been on a running series ever. I was at Study Philadelphia, but it wasn't every year, and it wasn't a lot of shows each season. It was only one or a 2-part show each season. So this is my first. I've been getting bad guys and getting killed off. The 2-parter killed off. So I was just happy to be on something regular, and we didn't know if there'd be a second season or a third or whatever. But I just said, if for some reason this could go like 7 seasons, and I even said that number. I said I would be so happy, And we're not the stars of the show, so it's not like we're making huge fortunes of money or anything like that. And I don't know what they're making either, but it doesn't matter. It's just to be involved in something, and they've been great to us, because our role was, we were only in one book, but they kept our characters around, and then the 5th and 6th seasons they gave us some more to do, which was not. And it's just turned into, and it's just like this great gig, this family of people. It's so freaking well written. The books, Michael Connelly is just, there are 2 writers that, it's Michael Connelly and Tom Clancy to me. And I don't know how Tom, I just love CIA stuff.
Yeah.
And I love detective stuff. I got to say, Robert Ludlum was awfully good too. I used to like reading him, but it's just, we're talking about top of the line novelists.
Oh yeah.
And to be able to be involved in a show that already had a built-in audience from Michael Connelly's novels, I was just, just ecstatic, and still just feel so lucky to be a part of it. And what a group of people they put together. It's not just, it's not, it's the writers, it's the producers, it's the Titus. He's worked his way up as an actor for so many years, and then to get this opportunity, he is just the freaking nicest guy in the world.
In that role, he is.
Well, it's not just the role, even just as a person.
Yeah.
He is just the nicest guy. You're famous now. You're famous. You're famous.
What's the cat's name?
Well, his name is really Sylvester or Silly, but I call him Kitty.
Nice.
Yeah, but Titus, but he's such a great guy.
Yeah.
And he is extremely versatile, because I'd seen him in many things over the years. But when they said Titus Welliver, I didn't know who he was when I go in for the costume. But then when I saw him, I go, oh, okay. Because he could change up a lot too, and do accents and change his appearance. And it's kind of what I did for years. And then, but the thing is, too, having worked his way up all these years and done all this great stuff, but to get a lead role in something like this, he's such a great guy, so appreciative of his position. I mean, I had somebody come to the set who's a police officer friend of mine. And, sets are filled with all kinds of people walking around, and he's the lead. He's got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of lines to memorize. And he was just walking, my friend was walking down a sidewalk away from everybody else. And Titus was like 6-7 feet over, walking the other direction. And, he was going to do something, go to makeup, hair, whatever. He walks over to him, says hello, shakes his hand, says, hi, I'm Titus. What's your name? I said, who are you visiting here today? And he just said hello. And what star does that? What lead of a show does that to people that are just walking by?
Yeah.
You see somebody visiting the set, and he goes up and introduces himself. This was like, and this is the kind of guy he is. He's just a great guy. He's got a great sense of humor. He's very jealous that I'm better looking than he is. But you know what? But that's why he's such a great guy too, is that he can handle it. Barely.
He can handle it.
Barely. He's very, very jealous of it, but he understands reality. So but no, he's just a super guy. He's not just a great actor. He's a great actor, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So that starts with that. And then again, everybody in the cast, they've cast a bunch of people so everybody gets along like a family. And then you put a crew together where everybody, if you don't get along with people, you're not a nice person. Something for people who aren't in the business or maybe starting out, who aren't working a lot. If you're a jerk, or you're not nice to work with, or you're moody, or you're whatever, I said, people don't want to work with you. So, you need to be a good person. I always said the third is talent. A third is fortitude, to be strong-willed, to go after it. And a third is just being a decent person that people like to be around.
Yeah.
It's and so the crew is great. Everybody, everybody, and not just hair and makeup and wardrobe and camera and all this stuff, but everybody set, gaffers, light, everybody, the drivers, the van drivers, the caterers, everybody's nice. And I've been on to be on with a group of people like this for 7 years.
Yeah,
it's been great. And the shows, I think are great, because I get to read them before everybody else sees it. So I know it's coming. I thought the first 3 seasons were just whew. And what
the first season to open up a series, the first season was unbelievable. And
then the second,
oh, I know,
just got better.
Yeah.
And then the third got better. And then, I don't want to give away to people who haven't seen it, but he was dealing with his mom.
Yeah.
And her past, and finding her killer. And then somewhere in there, his wife doesn't dies. And then, it's like, so he's dealing with a lot of emotional stuff, and you care. you're like really wrapped up in it. So this is really well written stuff. This is top of the line stuff, and again, with Michael Connelly writing the novels, and again, Eric Overmyer, again, writing The Wire, and being the executive writer and producer of The Wire, creative producer. So that was a pretty darn good show too. So there's a lot of talent there. And so I just feel, I'm just like Troy and I, we just go, we want to pinch ourselves sometimes that we're, we put in our dues, we worked a lot, but we still feel very lucky because, these jobs just don't come on for everybody all the time. And just to have a part of it, it is just a great blessing. And
you really guys are great. Like your back and forth and your chemistry and, what you guys accomplish. And some of it, you're almost like trying to think of something, another, not like bad comparison, but like Inspector Gadget, if you ever watched that old cartoon, like Penny. Yeah. So Penny was really the hero because Inspector Gadget would like screw everything up and Penny would save the day. So you guys in some of the seasons, again, not giving anything away, you guys are kind of like Penny because out of nowhere in a couple, it's like, oh, we just solved it.
Well, yeah, that's what's kind of funny too. Is that we didn't stop. It was Lieutenant Billets that said, "Well, no, we got to go take it." And I'm going, "Oh, okay." And then it turns out we get the KTK killing. But the thing is, the first season, just the way Troy and I never met each other. We just had this rapport.
Yeah.
And it just started right there from the very first scene was the interview scene from what's his name, who was the lead bad guy for the whole first season.
Yeah, Gedrick, Jason Gedrick. Yeah,
and we had the scene where we were interviewing, we caught him with the van, and I played it, a little more casual and, just talking to him. And really, so who's the dead guy in the van? And he goes, well, or what guy in the van? And I go, the dead, the naked guy with the hood over his head, and I'm just talking to him, but it was, and then we did the joking stuff with Bosch, and so it was kind of like, we kind of started out being kind of like Abbott and Costello, doing Barney Miller, a little bit on a serious show. So they kind of helped us tone it down a little bit because they had to figure out how we would fit into it. So we started playing things just, we're playing things straight, honestly. But there are people that goof around. I've had so many police officers from across the country say, we have got a crate and barrel in our police department. We've got a crate and barrel in our robbery homicide detective unit. Or we have got a crate and barrel in our, because, some cops are real serious, but a lot of cops goof around like crazy.
Oh, I'm sure.
They really do. Yeah. And there's a lot of high stress. So when you have to deal with serious situations, I mean, your life is in danger. You got to be, it's like your wartime. It's your life is on the line. But when you're off to the side and you're done with it, well, it's goof around. I mean, it's like a football team. It's practical jokes. And that's what cops do that, and so, I mean, because I was saying, well, they've written real stuff. This is real stuff that cops have really done. Michael Connelly really researched from knowing some police officers like Rick Jackson, who is the actual real life person that Bosch was based off of.
Oh, okay.
And he's a police officer, detective, robbery homicide, who developed a cold case division in 2002. But he's the guy who was I believe, the Vietnam tunnel rat. And they've updated it since they did this later. So it now was the Gulf War. But originally in the novels, he's the Bosch was a tunnel rat in Vietnam, but they just updated it 20 years later because the novel started in 92. So that was a bunch of years after Vietnam War. So they updated to the Gulf War, and then here we are now. So, yeah, but that's the only changes they made. But yeah, that's the thing. They're the stuff that he's gotten, and he was also Michael Connelly was a beat reporter for a newspaper for the writing on things about the police department.
Oh wow.
so this is how he learned, and he became friends with a lot of the police officers and detectives. And then he would hear their stories, and then he just started, writing books, and using Rick to initiate some of the early books, and then, pulling things from other people, this and that. And then, so there's a lot of reality, not necessarily every character is a real person, but there's a lot of the stuff that he writes that goes on in the book is stuff that really has happened in real life.
So, right, what you know, that's what you got to do.
He did a lot. He's done a lot of research. He was never a cop, but he sure has researched what cops go through. And that's why I like Tom Clancy, is that he was a CIA operative.
Yeah. So
when he writes, and he does a lot of research too, but he knows what he's writing about. And that's what makes it so good. But
wow. Well, Greg, this is, man, I can't believe it. Time flies. One question I always like to ask people, do you have, from all your years, again, you don't know why you're doing it, like, hey, this is going to be something I want to keep, but do you have any mementos, like from any sets that you kept, like a jacket you wore in Cliffhanger, or like anything like that?
I keep everything.
You do?
Yeah. I get from every film or TV show, just about everything. Not everything, not all. If I do a guest starring thing on a TV episodic, I don't necessarily get a T-shirt or a jacket or a mug, but a lot of the stuff. Everything that every show has given me, whether it's been a hat or jackets or T-shirts, or I don't even wear them. I just keep them in drawers. And I have a whole bunch of Cliffhanger T-shirts that don't fit me anymore, but I still have them up at the top of my closet. I have my Cliffhanger jacket. Oh, okay. Hold on. Wait, time out. This jacket is 28, almost 29 years old. This is what I wore when I wasn't on the set. They gave it to us to wear when we were around in the Italian Alps around Cortina d'Ampezzo.
Wow.
And this was the jacket they gave us while we were filming, so we'd have something to wear. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, I see it. That's amazing.
Cliffhanger. And it's green and blue. And this is based on the jacket that Stallone wore in one of the early scenes. And they just made one for everybody. And I've had this for 29 years almost. And I wear it in the cold weather. I've worn it up in Canada. I've worn it, the Canadian Rockies. Even in North, anytime it gets cold, I just put this sucker on.
That's
and this,
awesome.
This is the only thing actually that I actually wear. But yeah, I do. I have mementos. I have mugs. I have things that have been given to me. A lot of T-shirts, a lot of clothing.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff like that. And then, I keep pictures too. I take pictures on the.
I know. I saw those. Those are cool. Yeah.
I wish I did more pictures on the in the sport years. I did get some over the years from people, but I do have what I call my Eagle wall from the sports, which is stuff that was put together over the years that I got from people after I played.
That's cool.
But I got Cal punting over at Cal football team, and then Hawaii over there, the Hawaii football team, even the high school and all the stuff, and the Cal football team. And there's
do you keep any of the jerseys?
Well, I have no, not mine. I did have Joe Roth's practice jersey that he gave to me before he died in 1976. He passed away tragically. He was going to be the number one draft choice into the NFL after Steve Bartkowski, and he was Joe Montana before Joe Montana. Montana came out somewhere in the late. Joe Roth would have come out 76. Montana came out in 78. Out of Notre Dame, and Joe Roth was the number one quarterback in 75 and 76, and he was going to be the number one draft choice following 2 years after Steve Bartkowski was the number one draft choice. and he came down with melanoma, and it killed him. He died. He died right after the Aloha Bowl and the Japan Bowl.
Oh,
and after our last practice, he gave me his practice jersey right off his back, and he said, "You want my practice jersey?" And I said, and I didn't know he was dying. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell anybody that whole last season. He was fighting cancer and taking chemo while he was playing the season.
Oh my God.
It was totally a Brian Piccolo story. Joe Roth, if you people go on Google and look it up, they've actually made a documentary.
Oh, good. I got to check that out.
And there's a thing up online that talks about, I gave the jersey to the people that are keeping the Joe Roth memorabilia with the story behind it.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And, I do keep, in fact, everything in my house is, I learned this from a friend a long time ago. Any picture, any piece of art, everything that I got from some location,
Nice.
somewhere, some country, some state, some city, some location. From there's a story behind everything in my house. I don't just buy things because they look good. I get things that are mementos.
Yeah.
And I put them up in my house, and they all were things like I don't have them up in the wall here because I just moved a while ago, but I have like my blowguns, real blowguns from the Amazon, and the arrow, and they with the dart where they put the poison on it, and it still works, And I have the big long one, I have a medium and a short one. And, I bring something from everywhere, and I put them up in the walls. I have them in my artwork or whatever. And I just get a little piece from somewhere that I've been. And so, yeah, I do keep mementos and things from the old days.
That's awesome.
And I don't know why. Some of them, every once in a while, I'll wear something and wear it out. And I probably should gift stuff out to family and things like that. But I don't know why. I don't want to. I keep them as trophies in my drawer.
Well, you got to think they are trophies. It's good to keep
but I just keep them in my drawers, though. So when I die, I mean, my nieces and nephew. I don't have any kids, so my nieces and nephews, they're going to have a whole bunch of fun stuff from the old days. But I don't know. Yeah, but I do. I do, and I take the whole reason I brought this up was I didn't take pictures in the sport years. Yeah. So when I started the TV and film, and I started working with people, when you're young, when you're in your 20s and playing college and even high school, you're not saying, "Hey guys, let's take pictures. Let's for memories." You're living the moment. You're not thinking of the future and thinking back.
Of course.
But once I hit my 30s and I was starting to do films, I go, "Wait a minute. I'm not going to work with Stallone again. Do you mind if, could we take a picture together?" There wasn't the internet then. Yeah. So I thought it was kind of maybe rude to ask that, but I worked with him for 6 months and I figured, well, he might say yes, and so I started doing that on the sets with people, and now it's just everybody does it.
Yeah.
But I did it for me just so I'd have memories, on set memories and photos of people that I worked with over the years, and friends and people who become friends and stuff like that. Oh, my battery got low.
Oh no. Well, this is it. Well, that it's fine. Oh, there you are. But no, Greg, thank you, man. This has been amazing. 2 hours, man. It felt like it flew by. You're great, man.
Has it been that long? I'll have to get some food. I had to work out. So I feel bad. I didn't
Oh, don't worry about it. I didn't shower in 2 days. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she woke up early. So our days, my wife's a teacher, and we're home obviously with everything.
Yeah,
we're just going, and she's.
Oh, good for you. Well, geez, so she's doing the online teaching.
My wife, in Jersey, for now until.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm just impressed as heck with you, and I've really enjoyed the interview. You really are great. You're a good guy. Kind of guy I'd love to hang around with. So
when this is all over, I want to go out to her uncle lives out in Rancho Palos Verdes. So we're gonna go out and visit again. We lived in Oregon for a few years, but I'll definitely keep you in mind. Have a beer or whatever.
Yeah. Give me a call when you get out. And if I'm free, we'll hook up somewhere.
Cool, man. It was great. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Love to meet your wife. Say hello.
I will.
But I've enjoyed it, and you're just an incredible. This is great what you're doing too. You're very good at it. You're very good at interview.
Thank you.
I mean, you get me to talk a lot, and that's a skill.
That's what it's all about. And like in the beginning, when I went back today because I started this with my buddy like March of 2019. And when you're reaching out to people and you have no one on your list, they're going to be like if I reached out to you, you're a nice guy. But some people will be like, why the hell am I going to talk to this guy from Jersey that doesn't have anybody that they interviewed? But it's like the more people I get and then the better I get. So when people listen to one and they're like, all right, this guy does his homework. But like when William Sadler and like Eric Roberts and like you and like all these people look at their IMDb's when I put them on my website and they're like, oh man, dude, this guy's been in a lot of stuff and he talked to him. So I should talk to him. So
Eric's kind of great. I worked with him on Purgatory, a TV film. It was a Western. And he was the lead bad guy. I was one of the supporting bad guys. We were riding horses all over the place. But it's really good for you. And we've had this online stuff with Facebook. I have my public page. I send out pictures and things, and I'm just appreciative with people that respond and comment. I'm not a big star, a big name. If I were, I would have a publicity person, I guess, and I'd have somebody who'd have to, screen things and all that. Yeah. But, for me, I'm just, I'm flattered that somebody would even want to, just say hi and talk for a while, or just give a compliment. I'm always appreciative of that. I was with sports too. Why would somebody be a jerk? No, I know. And there are some out there, I guess, but I think most people are pretty nice. So but nobody as incredibly good looking as I am. So.
All right, man. Well, happy holidays. Stay safe.
Hey,
hopefully season 7 of Bosch summer, maybe.
Yeah. They might get this thing edited, even though we might not finish filming. We're not going to finish filming at the end of January.
Oh,
they
really?
very well might get this edited up and get it out by its regular time in April. Maybe, because they're pretty good at doing. They're already editing it now. The early shows. So we shall see.
All right, Greg, thank you, man. Get something to eat.
Have great holidays.